as the Ghana Statistical Service reveals a fall from the 22.8% in June to the 20.9% in July 2024.
Month of July 2024, the rate of inflation stood at 20.9%, indicating that general average prices of goods and services in Ghana went up by 20.9%.
Also coming up in the bulletin, Appointments Committee confronts Supreme Court Justice nominee with his book seeking to promote anti-LGBTQ plus activities. We've got details of all of these stories and more coming up for you here on the Star Midday News.
Star News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA, also live on Facebook on Star 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM. Star News. Informed, in depth, in touch.
Thank you for joining us here on the Star Midday News. My name is Lantam Papanko. The Agbogbomefia of the Asogli State, Togbe Afede, has cautioned against outright dismissal of the controversial Ejapadia document. The document allegedly is the MPP's government's blueprint for state capture. Though the president has described it as a fabrication, opponents of the government and some businessmen have laid credence to its existence and implementation. Addressing party faithful present during the NDC flag bearer John Mohammed's tour of the Volta region, Togbe Afede claimed that though he doubted the authenticity of the document and portions about it, some other portions about his company are manifesting.
Recently, we are hearing about something called Ejapadia, and sadly, my company is also mentioned in that book. My small strategic African security is also mentioned in that book. I find it difficult to believe that that was a genuine document. But of course, certain things that we go through give us thoughts to the contrary. I recall that in 2019 thereabout, we received a letter for us to sign, pre-written in our name, to sign to resign from the group of companies that advise government on its bond issues. That came as a shock. Another time, we had a commercial paper outstanding with a state-owned institution that had not matured. Suddenly, we had debt collectors at our door demanding repayment of money that had not matured. So when I reflect on some of these things, then I begin to wonder. And only about 2 months ago, Iyoko was at a small factory that we own in Tema, Pioneer Kitchenware. We're just majority share owners of a company that is going through hard times, closed down. We're thinking of reviving it. And Iyoko was there because PKL allegedly was owing rates to Tema Development Corporation. And you wonder, what did Iyoko have to do with indebtedness of a small company to, So when you look at all of these things, then you begin to rethink.
Well, Togbe Afede is also attributing the country's lack of growth to mounting scandals as a result of enabled corruption.
A lot of scandals are part of the problems that have drawn our country back. And these scandals have become possible because in Ghana now, there is so little respect for the truth. Truth, freedom, and justice are all principles that are currently imperiled. It's difficult to know when you are hearing the truth and when you are hearing otherwise. I just read today that even the ownership of the newly commissioned gold refinery is being disputed. So the lack of truth, the lack of transparency, lack of accountability are all part of the problems of this country. Those have made corruption possible. If you have to fight for our development, we have to deal with corruption. We have to deal with accountability. We have to deal with the truth. There is always only one truth.
Togbe Afede the 14th is the Agbogbomefia of the Asogli State. Now, Supreme Court Justice nominee Professor Richard Frimpong Opong had a tough time extricating himself from the content of a book he authored promoting the activities of members of the LGBTQ plus community. The nominee at his vetting last night denied being an advocate for gays after the minority leader Dr. Kessie Latoforsen confronted him with a confidential report from the National Investigations Bureau flagging him as a supporter of gays. Professor Frimpong, however, argued that his academic work does not reflect his personal position on the matter. Here are excerpts of proceedings from the Appointments Committee hearings yesterday.
I said as an academic, I've written about the subject from the perspective of my speciality, from the perspective of conflict of laws. On my entire CV, I think there's one paper on it. So if you pull that paper from online and you think it creates a perspective, I think that is totally wrong. I certainly share your view. They are very legitimate concerns. But if you look at the penultimate paragraph of the paper, it says, and I'm quoting here, says it would be remiss if it was not emphasized that the argument in favor of recognizing foreign same-sex marriages, even if for limited purposes, should not be read as a commitment to or even a belief in the merits of same-sex marriage per se. We make the point very clear in the paper that we are not advocating for same-sex marriages in Africa. We are saying that if a person has acquired that status abroad for a limited purpose, to say that I was married to X, that should be okay. That is the academic view that I took in the paper. And as I said, from the perspective of Ghana law, the issue is actually moot because the Human Sexuality Bill, Section 9, makes it very clear that the Ghanaian court should not recognize a foreign certificate. So I can talk about my academic views, but my academic views is not a source of Ghanaian law. If you look at Article 11, the sources of Ghanaian law are listed there. And Opong's article is not one of them.
Professor Richard Frimpong Opong is one of the Supreme Court's justices one of the nominees that the president made to the Supreme Court, who was vetted by the Appointments Committee yesterday. Now, the Ghana Cocoa Board intends to sue the Forestry Commission for damages over the Commission's destruction of some 42 acres of cocoa farms, with plans to destroy an additional 30 acres in Swoja and the Adabukrom in the Western North region. According to reports, the Forestry Commission claims ownership of the land that is in dispute, asserting that it is protected forest reserve, while the farmers insist that the land has been theirs for generations. The farmers also claim that previous court rulings in 1988 and the year 2016 favor them. Now let's go onto the phone line and engage Professor Michael Kwating, who is the head of the Cocoa Protection Desk at the Cocoa Board, for more. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Star Midday News. Prof, how come your outfit didn't foresee the destruction and avert it, even though the destruction took some hours, considering the acres involved?
Good afternoon to your listeners. Yes, we received a petition that was 2 weeks ago. And then when the petition came, the destruction has already begun. So as soon as we received the petition, we contacted the office in Accra, that is Forestry Commission. And we were trying to, resolve the issue, by halting the destruction. I was referred to their regional manager at Goso. So I came back and then had a look at, the situation. We were there 3 days ago. In fact, it's very bad. Matured cocoa that are bearing fruits. They've destroyed about 42 hectares, remaining about 30 hectares. So from there, I move on to the regional office. In fact, as soon as I contacted the office, they stopped the destruction. So I went there, and then I were trying to see how best we can, prevent the situation. But they were also basing on the fact that the place is a forest reserve, and as such, the law, doesn't permit anybody to plant any crop there. In fact, we posed a number of, situation where we can even maintain the farms for some time, maybe until maturity. Then we hand over to them. In fact, all couldn't materialize. So then we have to come back. And then we are also preparing, because already the case has been sent to court. The farmer was arrested and granted bail a day after. And so the case is pending in court. So what we are going to do, I'm going to advise my outreach, the legal team, to also pick it up. Because looking at the number of destruction is huge.
And are you able to quantify the level of destruction in monetary terms?
In fact, if we look at the calculation, it's billions of cedis, because as we speak, 1 acre of cocoa farm is about 440 trees. And 440 trees, one tree, even if we should give you 2,000, and looking at the 70, then we are talking about 50 billion cedis. And this is a huge amount of money. Government has spent so much putting money into these projects, and if it ended this way, then I don't think it will help anybody. So cocoa and forest trees, they coexist, and I think the management could have find a way to prevent the situation. Information gathering from the farmers also prove otherwise. I mean, based upon the information we are receiving from the Forestry Commission, they are saying that for all these years, over 40 years, they've been farming there, these cocoa farms. Forestry Commission is aware. There have been number of cases that even courts had to come in for settlement. From there, they've been coming around, even place where it's even concession. Their officers normally give it out, for personal gains. And this time, they are not able to continue with the giving them something, and that motivated them to, go ahead with it.
All right.
So investigation is going on, and we will take the issue up.
All right, very well. Thank you very much, Prof, for speaking to us here on the Star Midday News. You just heard us speak to Professor Michael Quatting. He's the head of the Cocoa Protection Desk at Cocoa Board. Now, the rate at which prices of goods and services are increasing in the country has slowed down for the fourth consecutive month, according to the latest figures from the Ghana Statistical Service. Yearly inflation in March rose to 25.8% from 23.2% that it recorded in February, but has since been taking a downward turn, reaching 20.9% in July 2024. Here is government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina-Enim a few moments ago, who revealed that food inflation remains the dominant factor in Ghana's high inflation.
Highlights for July 2024 rate of inflation. In the month of July 2024, the rate of inflation stood at 20.9%, indicating that general average prices of goods and services in Ghana went up by 20.9% between July 2023 and July 2024. While this rate of inflation indicates a 1.9 percentage points lower than the rate that was recorded in June 2024 of 22.8%, it signifies that it's only the rate of change that has slowed down over the same period last year and the same period this year. Prices of goods and services continue to increase both on a year-on-year basis and on a month-on-month basis. On a year-on-year basis, general prices of goods and services went up by 20.9%, and on a month-on-month basis, general prices of goods and services went up by 2.1%. From a disaggregated point of view, we continue to see the dominance of food inflation, leading with a rate of inflation of 21.5% relative to non-food inflation 20.5%. From a locally produced item and an imported item perspective, we see the dominance of locally produced items with a 7.7 percentage point drop, with locally produced items recording a rate of inflation of 23.3% relative to 15.6% for inflation on imported items.
You've just listened to government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina-Enim. This is the Star Midday News here on Star 103.5 FM. We're also live on our affiliate stations across the country.
Star News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA, also live on Facebook on Star 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Star 103.5 FM. Star News. Informed, in depth, in touch.
This is Star 103.5 FM, and this is the Star Midday News. Now, Dr. Duan Anientri, who is a convener of the Locked Up Fund Investment Holders Forum, has described the apology rendered by the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, to Ghanaians for government's domestic debt exchange program and the current economic hardship as meaningless. Now, according to him, considering the minister's posture towards Ghanaians whose investments are locked up in some financial institutions who have been picketing at the ministry without any favorable action from his outfit, the apology can only be deemed as sincere if it brings about a tangible positive change.
Letters to the minister that they want to have a discussion with him and see what they can do to help them resolve some of the issues they will go through if their bonds are restructured. The minister is not minding them. So you do all this thing and later on you come and apologize. No. If you have apologized, then do the right things subsequently. Now we are here. Our money is locked up. We want to have a meeting with you. We have written. You are not getting the meeting with us. Your staffs are also avoiding us. So an apology without changing the way you are behaving as a ministry is meaningless. So the apology is meaningless unless it is linked with a change in the way they are responding to customers and clients in the financial market to resolve our problem.
You've just listened to Dr. Edu Anientri, who is the convener of the Bondholders Forum. Now, the renal unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital is yet to resume full operations despite numerous assurances by the hospital management. The renal unit, which was closed down for almost 2 weeks, began attending to inpatients on Monday. Although outpatients were expected to receive treatment yesterday, our checks at the hospital reveal that the renal unit is yet to begin full operations. My colleague Nadima Umar Uthman has been at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and she is on the phone line to bring us an update as to what is happening. Nadima, welcome to the bulletin. What information have you been able to gather about outpatients receiving renal or dialysis treatment?
Right, Lantam. So I think for Monday, we have been very consistent on reporting on the closure of the renal unit to outpatients. And yesterday, we spoke to the public relations officer, Salih Mustafa, who told us that the facility will be open to outpatients today. And so we are here today, and I can confirm that it has not been open to outpatients. This is because there was still a delay in Kolebu receiving these essential consumables that are needed for dialysis. But I can also confirm that we are just at the central source, and I have indeed seen the items. And so the items have been delivered to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital finally. And so we're expecting that very soon. We'll speak to the public relations officer much later, who has agreed to speak to us later, to confirm whether or not finally when the outpatients can come to the renal unit for dialysis. Lantam.
Very well. So do we have a concrete assurance from any of the management of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital about exactly when outpatients can also begin to receive treatment?
I think that's the problem because, for Monday, we spoke to him on Monday and he said Tuesday. Tuesday, we spoke to him and he said Wednesday. And so now I think they're a bit hesitant in giving us when outpatients can finally come to the renal unit. But he has not confirmed whether tomorrow it will be open. But now that the items have arrived at the facility, we are hoping that by close of this week. But I can't confirm that independently, so we'll need to speak to him on that. But as of now, it's not clear whether our patients can come to the facility tomorrow even.
Very well, Nadima, thank you for bringing us that update. Nadima Umar Uthman is a man or woman on the ground. It's now time for the Election Hub. And on our election hub today, the flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has pledged that the next NDC government will prioritize transforming the Volta region through agriculture if elected on December 7. The former president, who began a 4-day campaign tour of the region, emphasized that the Volta region has significant potential that will be tapped into to create jobs and wealth for its people. John Mahama made these remarks during a meeting with Asogli chiefs in Ho as part of his 4-day campaign tour of the region. Abdul Hanan Adam has the rest in the following report.
John Mahama's Mahama for Change campaign tour in the Volta region is a pivotal moment as he rallies support for the upcoming elections. The flag bearer of the NDC is advocating for a new direction under his leadership, emphasizing the need for change from the current administration. During a meeting with Asogli chiefs in the whole central constituency, the former president outlined his vision and policy initiatives, pledging the next NDC government will transform the Volta region through a focus on agriculture.
Volta region has a lot of potential. It has investments in agriculture that can bring a lot of food to feed our people, provide employment for our youth, and be able to export food and earn money from outside. It has a lot of potential in agro-processing, adding value to the crops that we produce, because we want to develop the full potential of this region so that our people will be able to finish school here, find work here, and be able to be responsible citizens in the Volta region.
In Ho West, during an interaction with traders at the Dededo market, John Mahama mentioned he would consider splitting the constituency to accelerate development in the area.
Periodically, after a population census, we look at some of those districts in terms of population, in terms of size, and in terms of economic viability. And then we split constituencies or create districts. So I wish to assure you that we ourselves know about the issue of Ho West. And so when the process starts, my expectation is that your MP will lead you. You present a petition asking for a redemarcation of Ho West so that we can split it by constituency or by district.
The former president also criticized the Akufo-Addo-led government for its failure to complete projects, urging the electorate to vote the MPP out of office.
Ghanaians must send them back into opposition so that they can go and sit and reflect on the harm they have done to this country. After what they've done to this country, they cannot be taken seriously and rewarded. This election is about change and more of the same. We either change or do more of the same. We are dissatisfied with more of the same. So definitely something must give. Change must happen.
Day one of the 4-day campaign tour of the Volta region saw John Dramani Mahama visiting 4 constituencies, including North Tong, Ho West, Ho Central, and Agbatima-Zipo, where he engaged in inclusive meetings with traditional and religious leaders, held community debates, and interacted with market women, the youth, and other stakeholders.
Still on your EIB election hub, let's get onto the phone line and speak to my colleague Abdul Hanan Adam, who is still with the former President John Mahama on his Volta regional tour. Hanan, welcome to the bulletin. So what is the latest development with regard to the former president's tour?
Yeah, Lantam, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, and I'm asking, what is the latest with regard to the former president's Volta regional tour?
Well, Lantam, we just ended a community engagement at the Upper Justice South constituency, where the former president addressed a community engagement where he further reiterated his commitment to addressing the socioeconomic challenges facing the country. Of course, we started this morning's engagement from the whole central market, where flag bearer of the NDC met with leaders at the whole central market, where he outlined his vision policies to make the economy better. He also, he of course told them about the 24-hour economy, which is the major campaign policy for the NDC 2024 general elections. Of course, traders are a lot in the market. Women are also part of the traders in the market. So he took time to explain to them what the Women's Bank is going to do for them to transform their businesses and bring relief to them. Of course, he bemoans the quantum corruption that is going on in the country and says that the money that we at the country is losing through corruption, if we save it, we'll be able to fund the free fees initiative that he spoke about yesterday when he visited the whole technical university as he engaged with students of that particular institution. So quite a number of promises or pledges that he's been making.
Right.
Of course, now we are on our way to the Hopper constituency where he will be engaging a Deba of Muslim chiefs at the Hopper constituency, and later will visit Bando again at the Atamel Park where there will be another community engagement. So this particular campaign in the Volta region is designed such that it engages with religious leaders, youth groups, market women, leaders, and other stakeholders who are the socio-economic fiber.
All right. Very well. Thank you very much. Abdul Hanan Adam is a man in the Volta region with former President Mahama on his Volta regional tour, bringing us those updates on the election hub on the Star Midday News. It's time now for sports. Jones Aji has joined me in the studio with the latest in sports. Jones, what's in sports?
All right, good afternoon. And today, of course, football is back proper when the Super League happens with Real Madrid taking on Atlanta. But before that, let's start off from women's football, where Hazakes ladies, who are in Group B in the African Women's Champions League, WAFU qualifiers, will be looking to get their first maximum 3 points against Edo Queens from Nigeria today. Hazakes drew their first game and will need 3 points to keep themselves in the race to qualify for the continental competition. Now, here is assistant coach of the side speaking ahead of today's game.
Well, we're already in competition season, so for me, I think that we will have to be very competitive even during the training. And looking at today's training, I can see that the girls actually gave their 100% effort right from the warm-up stage to the last stage, which was more of the tactical bits. We're very competitive. That is the standard of us. Like I always say, it's results-oriented. And so we are ever ready for the game tomorrow. For competition, always the start looks a bit tricky. And you can also expect that there will be one or two players that will be a bit tensed up. And so now that the competition fever already is on us, I'm seeing that the girls are in very high spirit. And besides the mistakes that we did in the first game, we have looked forward to correcting them. And we are seeing more of improved performance in the game against Edo Queens.
Now to Europe, coach of 15-time European champions Real Madrid, Carlo Ancelotti, has warned his team about how dangerous Atalanta can be ahead of both sides clash in the 2024 UEFA Super Cup tonight in a match that could see Kylian Mbappe play his first match for the White Angels. Ancelotti says Mbappe would have to adapt at Real Madrid like everyone did, but he's sure he will quickly adjust.
We have all the excitement in the world, all the eagerness in the world. Is the first title at stake this season. It's going to be a very demanding season, and it could be a very successful season too. So we want to start correctly, bearing in mind all the difficulties that we're going to find. But the team is looking good. We have had not much time to train, but the team is motivated to play, and I think they can play a good game. Well, Mbappe arrived really well, just like any other player who started on the 7th. We haven't had much time, like I said, but we are looking good. The team is looking good. Kylian too, he arrived in good shape, and he's adapting really well to the team.
The game is at 7 p.m. and will be played at the National Stadium in Poland. With that, that'll be all for sports. My name is Jones Aji.
Thank you very much, Jones Aji, with the latest in sports. And that's it for the Star Midday News here on Star 103.5 FM. For more news, log on to starfm.com.gh. Take a look at our social media pages at Star 1035 FM on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. My name is Lantam Papanko. Thanks for listening.